Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. No importa la hora que sea, siempre es un gran momento para aprender español con Profesor Pablo. Today's lesson is explicatory. We have coming up in upcoming lessons many examples of cuando using everything that we're going to hear about today. But today I just want to get the basics of the explanation taken care of. Okay, this is a deep dive into cuando. What kind of verb conjugation can we use after cuando? Well, we're going to find out that of the 10 things you can do to a verb, we can use 7 of them. But we're going to find out that immediately after cuando, you're not going to use an infinitive, you're not going to use the ando, yendo, ing, and you're not going to use the aldo, ido, the ed, the past participle. Immediately after cuando, you're not going to use infinitive, ing, or the ed. Later on down the line you can use them, but not immediately after cuando. Immediately after cuando you can use the present tense, the preterite, the imperfect, the future, the conditional, the present subjunctive, and the past subjunctive. It's very common to use the present tense after cuando when you're talking about something that happens all the time, or something that always happens, right? When we win, we're happy. Cuando ganamos, estamos felices. When I'm tired, I go to bed. Cuando tengo sueño, me acuesto, voy a la cama. Very common. The preterite, also very common. I was inside when the accident happened. Estaba adentro cuando pasó el accidente. Back in the day, we used to say all the time, missing phone calls, because the phone either was hanging on the wall or sitting on a desktop. And you'd say, oh, I'm sorry, lo siento mucho. I was outside when the phone rang. Estaba afuera cuando sonó el teléfono. Of course, that doesn't happen now because we all have cell phones. But the preterite, very common to use after cuando. How about imperfect after cuando? Yeah, for example, how about when I was sleepy, I would always take a nap. Cuando tenía sueño, siempre tomaba una siesta. Cuando tenía hambre, siempre comía. When we would go to the beach, I would always have a lot of fun. Cuando iba a la playa, siempre me divertía. Now, cuando can be used to start the sentence, or it can be used in the middle, like a connecting word, like a bridge, like a link. So now we know you can use a present tense after cuando, the preterite referring to something that happened, the present for something that happens or all the time happens. You can use the imperfect for something that happened all the time in the past, something that was repeatedly done in the past, something that used to happen, or something that was happening. For example, when I was driving to work, I saw an accident. Cuando estaba. Estaba is the imperfect. Cuando estaba manejando. Now, manejando is a verb number 1, but we said you can't use it immediately after cuando. But when you say cuando estaba manejando, conduciendo al trabajo, vi un accidente. Then you can use it that way. Okay, let's go to the future. For questions, you're going to take cuando, but it will have an accent mark on it if you write it on the A, asking when something will happen. Cuando será? When will it be? Cuando llegarán? When will they arrive? Very common to use the future after cuando in a question. But you could also use it in a statement, like, I don't know when they will arrive. No sé cuándo llegarán. I don't know when it will be. No sé cuándo será. And of course, irá plus infinitive would go back to conjugating ir in the present tense and then following with our infinitive. Again, no infinitive immediately after cuando, but down the line, yes. Remember, irá plus infinitive and future are pretty interchangeable. Like, for example, I don't know when it will be. No sé cuándo será. I don't know when it is going to be. No sé cuándo va a ser. Conditional means would, asking when something would happen. When would it be? Like you're potentially planning a party and you say, when would it be? Cuando sería? I don't know when it would be. No sé cuándo sería. So cuando is a question with an accent mark is used all the time with future and conditional. Down here, the present subjunctive, if you're talking about an action that hasn't happened yet, right? We're going to call you when we get there. Vamos a llamarte cuando lleguemos, or te vamos a llamar cuando lleguemos. We're going to call you when we arrive, when we get there. So after cuando, we use the opposite vowel, the present subjunctive, to refer to an action that hasn't happened yet. For example, if you want to say when the bell rings, all the kids take off running, something that happens all the time, you go back to the present and say, cuando suena la campana, todos los niños salen corriendo. All the kids take off running, cuando suena. But let's say you're in a classroom and the teacher says, you guys can leave when the bell rings. We teachers say that all the time. You say, ustedes pueden irse, ustedes pueden salir cuando la campana. You can't say suena, because we're talking, the bell hasn't rung yet. If it hasn't rung yet, you have to say opposite vowel. Ustedes pueden salir cuando la campana suene, with an E, suene. And then the past subjunctive would be for an action that hadn't happened yet. For example, we were going to go to Europe when we got married. And let's say you never got married. You'd say, íbamos, the imperfect of ir, íbamos a ir a Europa. We were going to go to Europe when we got married, cuando nos casáramos. But we didn't ever get married. We were going to celebrate when we won. We never won. Íbamos a celebrar cuando ganáramos. So this is high-level Spanish, this past subjunctive, to talk about an action that hadn't happened yet, right? Like you say, well, when it rained, cuando lloviera, pero nunca llovió. So these are great. But again, the Spanish piano has 10 keys. You don't have to be a Liberace, right? A piano, you don't have to be Elton John to be able to play the Spanish piano. There are only 10 keys. In the first 3 keys, infinitive, ando, yendo, ing, and the ed, ado, ido, those 3 keys are not after cuando. So cuando only has 7 keys that you have to think about. Certainly we use the present tense after cuando all the time. Preterite after cuando all the time. Imperfect, a good amount, but not nearly as much as the present and the preterite. The future present subjunctive, oh my gosh, we use it all the time. We talk about things like when blah, blah, blah happens, then like when I have enough money, I'm going to buy a car. Cuando tenga suficiente dinero, voy a comprar un carro. We use the present subjunctive often. Asking questions in the future, or irá plus infinitive, that's pretty common. When will you be here? ¿Cuándo estarás aquí? When will the party be? ¿Cuándo será la fiesta? Or ¿cuándo va a ser? And the conditional, it's like the future. Instead of when will, it's when would. Like, when would you do it? ¿Cuándo lo harías? For an example. And again, the past subjunctive is the one we use the least. Okay, so what I want you to carry from this lesson is to know that after cuando, you can use any one of the 7 verb tense conjugations, but you have to use it for the specific reason. And the reasons are as we stated. Now, like anything else, a coach can say on the whiteboard, draw up a play, and the players are sitting there watching, this is what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. But the coach or coaches, they need to drill it on the playing field, whether it's soccer, football, whatever it is, right? They need to drill it. And so I'm telling you right now, this is just a brief explanation, and then we're going to get to many, many examples to drill all these points home. All right, so this is the beginning, not the middle and not the end of the deep dive of cuando. It's just the beginning. Okay, that's it. I'm off right now with my good friend from Wisconsin here in California visiting. Vamos al partido de los LA Rams hoy contra los New Orleans Saints. Es un partido de pretemporada en SoFi Stadium. Estamos muy emocionados. Voy a cambiarme la ropa, voy a ponerme un jersey de los Rams y vamos allí para divertirnos. Y ustedes también, que se diviertan con lo que sea que hagan este fin de semana. Bueno, gracias por todo. Hasta la próxima lección. Bye bye.